Once upon a time, in a peaceful little village surrounded by green fields and tall trees, there lived a simple man who worked hard every single day. His life was not luxurious, but he was content with what he had. However, there was only one thing that worried him: his son. The man's son was a young boy, full of energy, but sadly, he was extremely lazy and careless. While other children of the village helped their parents, learned skills, or studied, this boy wasted his time wandering aimlessly from street to street. He would spend hours gossiping with other idle boys, throwing stones into the river, or lying under the shade doing absolutely nothing. His father tried many times to guide him gently. Sometimes he scolded him. Sometimes he lovingly tried to explain the importance of time, work, and responsibility. But nothing changed. The boy simply didn't understand the value of time. He believed life would always be easy, and everything would happen automatically. One evening, as the father sat alone thinking about the future of his son, a deep sadness washed over him. He wondered, what will become of this boy? How will he face the world if he never learns to use his time wisely? After thinking for a long time, the man decided he must teach his son an important lesson, but not through anger, nor through long lectures. He needed to show him something that would make him truly understand. The next morning, the man called his son gently. The boy came lazily, dragging his feet, wondering what new advice his father would give today. The father smiled and said, "Son, I need a small favor. There is an old watch kept inside the cupboard. Please bring it to me." The boy shrugged and walked slowly toward the cupboard. When he opened it, he saw an old but well-kept wristwatch. He picked it up and returned to his father. The father took the watch, looked at it for a moment, and then handed it back to his son. "Now listen carefully," the father said. "Take this watch to the market and ask the people you meet how much they think it is worth. Ask everyone you can, shopkeepers, travelers, farmers, anyone." The boy didn't understand why his father wanted this, but he didn't argue. He took the watch and left for the market. The village market was always alive with noise, vendors shouting prices, buyers bargaining loudly, children running around, and animals passing through. The boy walked into the busy market and began showing the watch to people. "Uncle, how much do you think this watch costs?" he asked a fruit seller. The man wiped sweat from his forehead and said, Maybe 500 rupees. It looks old." The boy nodded and moved on. He asked a cloth merchant next. The merchant held the watch, examined it for a few seconds, and said, "I think it's worth 1,000 rupees." The boy raised his eyebrows. The price was different. He continued walking. A young man sitting at a tea stall said it was only worth 800 rupees. A woodcutter passing by said maybe 600. Someone else offered 400. Another said 900. Some people gave the same price as others, but no one agreed completely. Every person had a different opinion. By afternoon, the boy was confused. Why was everyone giving different prices for the same watch? He headed back home and told his father everything. "Father," he said, "everyone gave a different price. Some said 500, some 800, and some even 1,000. Nobody agreed." The father smiled calmly and said, "Good. Now put the watch back in the cupboard." The boy was even more confused now. Why did his father make him do all this? But the father did not explain anything. The next day, early in the morning, the father called his son again. His voice was serious but gentle. "Son, bring me that same watch from the cupboard." The boy fetched the watch without saying a word. The father took it, held it with care, and then handed it back to his son. "Now listen," the father said slowly. "I want you to go to the market again, but this time, don't ask people the price of the watch. Ask them the price of the time inside this watch." The boy frowned in confusion. The time inside the watch. How can time have a price? He did not understand the meaning behind this strange instruction, but he respected his father enough to obey. With the same watch in his hand, he walked once again toward the market. When he asked the first shopkeeper, "Uncle, how much is the time inside this watch worth?" the man looked at him strangely. "What kind of question is that?" he muttered. The boy walked ahead and asked another person. That man laughed loudly and said, "Are you making fun of me, boy?" A few people scolded him. Some told him to go away. Some even said he was foolish. Everywhere he went, people reacted with confusion, annoyance, or mockery. The boy felt embarrassed. His cheeks burned with shame. He began to think that maybe his father had sent him on a foolish errand. Maybe the whole village would now laugh at him. He walked sadly through the market until he reached a small, old shop tucked in a quiet corner. Inside, an old man sat repairing watches. His hands moved slowly but skillfully. His shop smelled of oil, metal, and old memories. Gathering courage, the boy asked him, "Sir, how much is the time inside this watch worth?" The old man paused. For the first time that day, someone didn't laugh at him. The shopkeeper looked up with gentle eyes, saw the boy's confusion, and smiled kindly. "Son," he said softly, "time is priceless." The boy's heart beat faster. He sensed that something important was about to be said. "You can give millions of rupees," the old man continued, "but you cannot buy even 1 second of your life back. No matter how rich you become, no matter how powerful you are, time is the only thing you can never buy." The boy stood still, listening carefully. "Time has one bad thing and one good thing," the old man said. "The bad thing is, it passes, it always moves forward, it never stops, not for anyone, and the good thing is, you get to choose how to spend it." The boy felt something changing inside him. A warm realization began to rise in his heart. The old man's words were simple, but deep, like a message he had been waiting for without knowing it. Everyone has 24 hours, the old and the young, the rich and the poor. The difference is not in the hours we receive, but in how we use those hours. The boy thanked the old man with sincere respect and rushed home, his mind full of new thoughts. The boy hurried home, his mind filled with the old man's words. Each sentence echoed inside him like a clear bell ringing across an empty valley. Something had awakened within him, something he had never felt before. A realization, a spark, a new understanding. When he entered the house, his father was sitting on a wooden chair, waiting silently. The father looked at his son's face and immediately knew that something was different. The boy's eyes were not empty like before. They were brighter, more alert, and full of meaning. The father asked gently, "So, what did you learn today, my son?" The boy took a deep breath. He looked straight into his father's eyes and said, "Father, the watch has a price, but the time inside it has no price at all. People can buy a new watch, but they can never buy back the time they have lost." The father smiled, satisfied. "And who told you that?" "A wise old man in the market," the boy replied. "He said that time has one bad thing and one good thing. The bad thing is that it passes and never comes back. The good thing is that we get to choose how we spend it. He said that everyone in world, rich or poor, has 24 hours. The difference is how each person uses those hours." The father nodded with pride. "Yes, my son, that is the truth." The boy sat down beside his father. He felt strange, like he was no longer the same careless boy he had been just yesterday. He felt heavier with understanding, wiser with experience. His father put a hand on his shoulder and said softly, "I sent you to the market because I wanted you to learn the value of time. I could have explained it to you in 1,000 words, but you would not have understood. Some lessons must be experienced, not just heard." The boy lowered his eyes. He remembered all the days he had wasted wandering the village, laughing meaninglessly, throwing away precious hours. For the first time, he felt regret. He wished he could gather all those lost moments and use them again. But he knew he couldn't. His father continued, "Time, my son, is the most precious thing we have. Wealth can be earned, possessions can be replaced, but time never returns. Once a moment passes, it becomes part of history." The boy felt his heart tightening. He whispered, "Father, I understand now." And he truly did. That night the boy could not sleep. He lay on his bed staring at the roof, thinking about everything that had happened. He remembered the people who laughed at him. He remembered the fruit seller, the cloth merchant, the all boy, and all those different prices they gave for the watch. He realized something deeper. Everyone valued the watch differently, just like everyone values time differently. Some people wasted time without thinking, just like he had done. Some used time wisely, like the hard-working farmers, shopkeepers, and craftsmen. and some understood the true meaning of time like his father and the old watchmaker. The boy felt a fire growing inside him, an urge to change, to improve, to respect every moment he lived. When the sun rose the next morning, the boy woke up earlier than usual. Even before his father called him, he was already out of bed. He washed his face, combed his hair, and stepped outside where the first rays of sunlight touched the fields. His father, surprised, looked at him and asked, "You're awake early today?" The boy smiled with determination. "Yes, father. I want to start my day early. I don't want to waste time anymore." The father's heart filled with happiness. He had waited years to hear such words. From that day forward, the boy's life began to change, slowly at first, but steadily. He started helping his father with work, learning farming, fixing small tools, and taking responsibility in the house. He stopped wandering around meaninglessly. The lazy boy, who once spent hours doing nothing, was gone. The villagers also noticed the change. They had seen him loitering in the streets many times before, but now he walked with purpose. He didn't waste time gossiping. Instead, he helped old people carry their baskets, fetched water for his mother, and worked in the fields with his father. One day, the same fruit seller who had once valued the watch at 500 rupees saw the boy carrying a heavy sack of grains on his shoulder. He was surprised and said, "You, working so hard, what happened to you, boy?" The boy smiled and replied, "Time happened." The fruit seller laughed, but he sensed something meaningful in the boy's tone. Meanwhile, the father watched quietly as his son grew more responsible and focused. At night, the boy sat with his father and asked him questions about life, work, discipline, and success. The father answered patiently, grateful that his son was finally ready to learn. But the most meaningful change came from within the boy himself. He felt happier, he felt lighter, he felt proud of every small task he completed. For the first time in his life, he valued his own effort. He realized that every minute he spent working, learning, or helping someone was making him stronger, wiser, and better. Weeks passed, then months. The boy became one of the most hard-working young men in the village. People admired him. Some even said, "If this boy can change, anyone can change." One day, the boy decided to visit the old watchmaker again. He entered the tiny shop and bowed respectfully. "Sir," he said, "you changed my life with your words." The old man smiled, his eyes shining with kindness. "No, my son, I only told you the truth. You are the one who chose to understand it." The boy felt grateful. He looked at the watchmaker, repairing a broken watch, and thought about the passage of time. Then the old man spoke again. "Remember, life is like a watch. It keeps moving, whether you want it to or not. The only question is, what will you do with the time you have?" The boy nodded deeply. "I will use it well." With a heart full of gratitude, the boy returned home. Years passed, and the boy grew into a responsible young man. He worked hard, helped his parents, and eventually became one of the most respected people in the village. He never forgot the lesson he had learned as a child. He always said to others, "Time is free, but it is priceless. You cannot buy it, but you can use it. You cannot own it, but you can spend it. And once it is gone, you can never get it back. So use every moment wisely."